Hello friends, I'm putting together this video to show off a dream that I created for the Community Jam. The Community Jam is going on right now, it's called Rhythm. And so Community Jam is like a game jam, it's on a specific theme, but because you can create all kinds of stuff with dreams, that theme's pretty wide. So what I put together, I call DJ Imp Star. The Imp is this little cursor that the player controls and that you control when you're making dreams. And here you're going to use it to control a live PA system that produces music for this futuristic club. So here's a demo of it. It's called DJ Imp Star by me, Mutagen13. So you see you control it with your imp using the movement controls and the trigger. So to give you a sense, so I've got one track over here and a different one over here I can switch between. I got the BPMs matched up so they're pretty close.
Welcome to the Dreamiverse.
So these toggle on and off. These are momentary, single shot. Control the volume. Or any of the either of the two tracks or the samples. Get the mix the way you want it. Control the BPM. So you see that the crowd and the lights respond to the beat loop. And if you change the BPM, you speed up or slow down. So a lot of this for me was figuring out how to get the beat to drive the effects and the dancing of the puppets. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I put that together. Let's see. So, I started out by wanting to put together the console, the machine that you control this with. Along the way, I also added these, but the first thing I wanted to do was to put together the control system. I was inspired by some iPad apps that my daughter uses to mix beats, and I thought that was a fun way to kind of explore the theme for this community jam. So you can see I didn't do the music, so I remixed a lot of stuff here. So I got
Welcome to the Dreamiverse.
I got clips from the Dreamiverse. I took buttons from the Dreamiverse and sliders. I used a blank puppet. And even got the knobs and the DJ booth, the DJ console here. This is a model I got from the Dreamiverse, and just kind of ripped out what I didn't want to use and replaced it with the stuff that I do. So the way that worked. So you can see, I didn't mess with the puppets at first. Those went in later. Puppets are the controllable characters in dreams that the player normally controls, but I send signals to them to get them to dance. You can tell animation isn't my strong suite. So what I did was I laid out these buttons and I hooked them into these controls, these microchips, where I could have them trigger the clips. So each button is hooked up to a clip that's on this timeline already. So you can see what the buttons do is actually just turn these clips on and off. And it's nice to have them in the timeline because then they sync up. Without them being in the timeline, with the playhead to synchronize them, then they would just completely just be a cacophony. So what I do is, you can see that I can actually control the power here by turning it on and off with these buttons. So really straightforward on the button. All it does is, it has a grab sensor that uses a signal manipulator to push the button down. So that's what this keyframe is the button pushing down or coming back up again. And this signal manipulator lets it become a toggle. And so that's the way I hooked up all the sound clips. So you see that this is the other track. And it's on the timeline as well. Oops. But you see, it's really easy to build things from existing content in Dreams. Remixing is really one of the big strengths. So all these different clips here laid out, I probably trimmed this down from maybe an entire song just to have the looping tracks that I wanted to use. I also have them hooked up to these BPM sliders set a variable. And so we have the BPM that adjusts the BPM of the timeline, and the volume controls also set a variable to control the volume. And so with that BPM, the other thing I could do with these puppets is, I can trigger the different animations on the puppets. So using the beat, so you can see in this case, there's just like a single pose that, I just trigger over and over again. Super crude. I don't have a whole lot of time to spend on my dreams, and so but I wanted, this is my first time submitting to a community jam, and was really keen to do something on the theme. So that's basically how I did the, so no valid changes there, don't need to save. So that was an element. This hexagon means it's an element. The element goes into a scene. So I used this club scene that I found that actually had the lights here, but they weren't synchronized to the beat. But this guy was also inspiration because he made super cool beat machine using a totally different method. His is way cooler than mine. So that's his machine. I didn't actually use his machine, really just the club. Although I definitely took inspiration from how cool it was. I got this, there's a neon set here that, I was able to build the logo for DJ Imp Star really quickly. There's some other pieces in here you'll recognize, like the lamp that I used, the DJ booth as mentioned, the neon lights. I set up this camera pan and the UI. A pet peeve about a lot of dreams I've seen in the community jams is they don't give you the controls, and so the first thing you do is fumble to figure out how to control the damn thing. So there's a fog effect in here, some lights. I also set a grading so that to give it a more kind of cinematic look. So over here, you'll see there's gradient effects to make it look really kind of motion blur, some other stuff in there, because without it, so for example, if I were to turn on studio lighting, you'd see what this scene looks like without all the cool lighting. and wow, I've got a couple of guys who could really stand to get their feet out of the ground. That's probably quite something I'll fix. I haven't quite submitted yet, so looks like I got a couple things to tune before I submit. They may actually, they're standing on the ground. Their feet go underneath when they animate. Yeah, probably not worth fixing. Yeah, I'm not going to be too much of a stickler on this one. You know, I'm still new to Dreams. You know, let's see, I'm only level 34. You know, work a lot with design, recently with audio for this jam. But I'm loving it. And so I thought I would share it with you. So the community jam has 2 more days, and I will submit the previous one. You know, you can go in here and vote on things that people submitted, and then you know you know there are the rules for submission, and they eventually
need a little inspiration. When we need new ideas for the Dreamiverse, we have a jam. We thought you might like to do that too. Every so often, we set a topic we're curious about, and anyone can make and submit a dream on that topic. Or you can just play through the current entries and see which ones you like.
So, those are community jams. All right. Well, that's really all I wanted to cover. So, I hope this inspired some people to give Dreams a shot. Play around. It's really easy to get into. There's a ton of tutorials to get started. You know, I've pretty much done all of them at this point. But they will really get you started on all the different aspects. And, you know, there's templates to work with to get you started. You can remix other people's content really easily. There's a huge, the social community is a big part of it. And so, like, you know, a lot of times I come in and I'll see that people have commented on my stuff, or that they've sent me something to check out. I have some collections where I put some of my favorite things together as I find them, and people follow those. So, and previously, most of what I've done is work with my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, who we've created some cool dreams together. And then this is my home space. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching.